Okay. Hello? Baila Bayanla, Jok Hymetli Konyukla. Labetin Ichin Sana Mute Shekirim, Vebeni Sheref Lendildin. I hope you understand this. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to be here and that I'm able to share some results of my research with you. German explorers have visited the summit of Mount Judi since 1899. Unique photographs were taken and much fascinating information has been assembled. Although I did not visit the site so far myself, I was able to explore the summit by using Google Earth images, through which I managed to put together many important pieces of the jigsaw puzzle on the possible location of Noah's Ark. The first ever taken photo on the summit of Mount Judi is from Johannes Lepsius. He took it in the summer of 1899. He was born in Berlin in 1858 and made his first trip to the Orient in 1884. Later in 1899, Lepsius and his comrades climbed to the top of Judi, starting the ascent at Sirnak. Finally, they reached the summit. Concerning the question where the mountain of Noah's Ark is to be located, Lepsius wrote, "There can be no doubt that the masses called Ararat by the Europeans on the border of Russia, Persia and Turkey cannot be related to the tradition, while all the main features which are significant for the biblical history and Babylonian traditions concerning the flood must clearly fit in with the Syrian Arab tradition on Judi as the true Ararat." Gertrude Bell, the merits of her regarding to the exploration of Judida cannot be fully appreciated, but she was not German, and I will not comment her any further. The most important sources to consult are her book Ararat to Ararat. You can find it in the internet, as well as the website you find printed here. Perhaps you can note this if you want. Then the next German explorer, there is from Spangenberg in Germany, and he happens to be a geologist, and he reached the summit of Mount Judi during Easter of 1954. The person in question, you have heard about him, is Friedrich Bender. In June 2009, I had the opportunity to travel to Spangenberg and to meet his widow, Mrs. Sigrid Bender. She showed me several personal documents and numerous pictures that had belonged to her husband. Friedrich Bender was born in 1924 in the German state of Hessen. Bender studied geology in Stuttgart. In the early 1950s, Bender worked as a geologist in Anatolia and had close contact with the locals. It was through a discussion with the Hoxha, an Islamic scholar, about the Bible and the Quran, that Friedrich Bender went on his journey to Judida. On several images, Bender has documented his adventurous journey to Mount Judi. He came across the Tigris a long distance from far away, and they went into the summit as it was snow-covered. And the uniqueness of Bender's expeditions was that he actually excavated there. You find some of the translated document in my paper, which will be published in a book. Here you see them digging. He wrote this: "We immediately began to clear away 1 to 2 meter thick snow blanket in several places on the edge of the trough, because I had been told that remains of wood were found in the sand underneath the snow. Despite my skepticism, my excitement reached its zenith when after 1 meter we hit on brown sand discolorations in which we uncovered the remains of totally decayed black wood. At first I believed that these were the remains of an old campfire. But soon I discovered that the wood was bonded by asphalt. We continued our dig with renewed fervor, but below the level of 1 meter the sand proved to be frozen. Excavations in the deeper parts of the trough were prevented by the snow, which rose to several meters. we were granted no more success. The following results of the detailed investigation were also achieved by this geologist, and you heard of it before. After the thorough extraction of the asphalt with the use of tetrachloride, the wood fragments were subsequently dated according to the carbon-14 method in Hanover, which produced the model age of 6,635 years before present. A second test, which used up the remaining available material, confirmed this result. His wife told me of a 4.5 centimeter piece of Issei wood, but unfortunately no photo of this is available. As for his explorations on Judi, Bender concluded, and he was not a religious person, I personally think that it's worthwhile to pursue the matter. Again and again one finds a grain of truth shrouded in ancient traditions, and often one has started to explore things based on less indicative evidence than what is presented here. He died in the year 2008. Even through the ultimate goal of the ambitious climbers you see here, to head for the 5,000 meters high Mount Ararat, the trip to Mount Judi appears to have left strong impressions on the group of Hans Thoma. He who attended the summit of Judi together with his son and other companions, one of them is here, back in 1983, told in his book, "The little exciting and especially for alpine proportions tiny challenge of Mount Judi is soaked with mythology like a sponge. Near the landing place are simple structures made of very boulders like booths and roofs made of brushwood and dried leaves. They are given names such as Noah's house and Noah's shrine." You see here one of those shrines and what they found there. The members of the Thoma crew climbed up the mountains with armed escorts and under adverse conditions. The water supplies were running out because of a miscalculation of the guides. Probably heat and thirst prevented more detailed investigation of the terrain on the mountaintop. Nevertheless, the views from Judi and the ruins have been captured quite impressively on high-quality photographs. During my research to Landshut in September 2009, Hans Thoma and his team showed me two small pieces of rock from Mount Judi, this is one of it, kept by Hans Thoma in an old film box. I was able to take pictures of them in detail and even examine them later with the help of geologists and archaeologists. But at first glance they seemed fairly unspectacular, and probably they are just charred pieces of limestone. Another great merit of the Thoma crew are the imprints of some bas-reliefs which they have made with silicon. These millennia-old monuments are severely threatened by decay, but fortunately the inscriptions were already translated 100 years ago. This is Sennacherib.
Or Sennacherib.
Sennacherib, you say it in English. I'm glad to have a copy of a real Sennacherib relief up in my office. It is an almost unique piece of ancient art. In 2007, I published my first book, Bible Earth, which leads you to many places at the famous application of Google Earth. Later I found newly uploaded highly resolution satellite images of Judi with Google Earth and connected them geographically with pictures and descriptions of different sources. I only show some pictures here, you can see much more detail in my paper. These are old photographs and Google Earth pictures. I published an article about my exploration on my website, and so Bill Krause contacted me. His earlier work had helped me a lot on my research, and since that first contact we used to share our results on the subject. My German base has been a great help because of the important explorers whom I introduced to you, who mainly published in German. By comparing many photos with the satellite images of Google Earth, I was able to locate the exact peak of the mountain range and identify the remains of the ruins. I am convinced that some structures are still awaiting discovery and that an archaeological expeditions could prove to be very rewarding. The data of my work may now serve as a basis for further, perhaps international research. I don't think one is able to find an intact ark trapped in the ice of a glacier like explorers hope to find on Mount Ararat. If the ark landed on Mount Judi, I'm sure this was the case. Only very little remains will have been preserved to the present day. There is no glacier to conserve it at all, and the ark must have been destroyed through erosion and catastrophe that occurred during the many millennia of its history, and surely many pieces of the wood have been removed by generations of pilgrims. But it may be possible to uncover the foundations and other remains of structures built during the changing architectural history on the summit of which we only still see small ruins today. The monastery burned back in the 8th century, or the fortress which was conquered by Sennacherib, evidently some 2,700 years earlier, 2,700 years ago, could be promising targets for archaeological excavations. And in the case that researchers will find some rotten remains of a wooden structure, this could perhaps bring to light a plausible explanation. Could the sinking waters of the deluge in the days of Noah have allowed the huge ship to settle gently on top of this mountain, which the Muslims know as Al-Judi, and which also Christians should finally realize is indeed one of the mountains of Ararat as described in the Bible? These are some more pictures. Here you see pictures from the summit I found in the internet and the screenshot of Google Earth, and I tried to compare the locations on Judi and on Google Earth and on the pictures from the internet. I think only the basis is done to do further research on the true mountain of the Ark, the Judi. And I hope I myself as another one of the German researchers may be part of exploring this important site, and we can perhaps establish an international working group finding out more and more about the true landing place of Noah's Ark, Judi. Thank you for your attention. Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you very much for your time and presentation.